working. Uh, that's one of our big touch points is in the follow up, and then filtering out like, are you, like you said, are you in the boat or out the boat? Can you, or do you have the funds available at this time? Are you interested, or can we keep you in mind down the road, and just like you were saying, continue to build that relationship.
As an operator, I know other investors are romanticizing multifamily investing, and I'm looking to learn from other investors' mistakes. I know you are too, and you found the right place. Welcome to Myers Methods Presents Multifamily Missteps. Hey everybody, and welcome to Myers Methods Presents Multifamily Missteps. I'm your host, Jerome, and I've got the pleasure of having another multifamily kickstart session. And today our honored guest is Marcus Phillips. Marcus, how are things in your part of the world?
Man, things are great, Jerome. Things are amazing. Things are amazing. Yeah, I'm here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest right now, visiting my partner, and man, there's nothing like the Pacific Northwest in the summertime out in Seattle right
Man,
now.
so
Yeah.
Marcus hit me on LinkedIn. He's like, man, I got questions for you. I said, I might have answers, but we got to record it so other people can learn from it. So Marcus, give the listeners a little bit about your background.
So I have a military background. Went to school at the military academy up in West Point and did my 4 years there, and then active duty military for my next 5 years, transitioning out right now. Over that time period, got into residential, so small multifamily, fourplexes, duplexes, and have been doing that with my partners for the past 3 years. Really got into like, man, I love real estate, but the question became, how do I scale faster? So that's what we've been doing over the last 8 months, is doing our deep dive into commercial, larger multifamily real estate. And now we're doing a deal, actively doing a deal, a 200 unit ground up development in Princeton, Texas, with Alvin Johnson. So me and my business partners, we're all working on that right now, and we're in the process of raising funds for it.
That's crazy. All right, so I got introduced to Alvin probably 8 months ago. So it's really cool to hear his story and what he's doing, and to see you guys have linked arms with somebody who's got so much experience in the space. And so, thank you for your service, man. You know, my one of my best friends, Greg Washington, went to West Point, and he's on this crazy journey right now. He's walking from Mississippi up to West Point,
I
and
saw that. Yeah, I saw
yeah.
that. Yeah.
So, definitely a small world. And, if you want to connect with another West Point, I can certainly put you in contact with them. But yeah, so let's talk about it. I mean, you want to talk about raising money, or how do you want to
Y-
proceed?
yes, yes. So that's where we're at right now. I kind of just wanted to ask you some best practices, and I guess I'll give you the background of what we're working on right now. We've kind of talked with a couple of different. Obviously, we've started to tap into that West Point network. My one business partner, Kim, she is um, the head of compensation at Netflix, so she's kind of tapped into her Silicon Valley network. We've kind of been tapping into our grad network, um, and also looking at crowdfunding as well from a couple of different platforms. Uh, but no, I think my overall question is just like, from your experience, you know, best practice. I guess the other part of it is right now we're scheduling events periodically throughout the duration of our raise. But just best practices that you've seen or you've done when you're raising capital.
Yeah, so kind of as a general rule, we don't raise capital. We bring partners into deals, and
Okay.
partners fund the deals. So we don't usually do much with limited partners. And mainly because raising money is a different skill set than operating. And so we decided that we just wanted to really focus on being great operators. Now, with that said, I mean, real estate is a capital intensive business, right? So
Yeah.
you're going to need to have access to folks with net worth and liquidity. And so you should be continually and constantly building that network, so that when a deal presents itself, you can reach out to people who have capacity.
Yes.
Now, having an experienced operator, I think, is really step one. And what I typically tell people who are getting into the space is, you want to go you want to go find a deal, take it to an experienced operator, and then usually that experienced operator will be the person that is able to do the raise through their traditional network. There's a very different type of investor that wants to do new development in a multifamily or commercial deal than somebody who's typically involved in syndication. And the question may be, why is that? Well, those development deals have a long tail. Construction is the biggest risk to the deal. And some people just don't have the stomach for putting capital in and then waiting 24 months, 36 months in order to get to first check.
Yeah.
Right. And then depending on the business plan, they might not ever get their money back out that they put in because you hold the deal for perpetuity. If you're doing a HUD loan and you got the 40-year amortized loan and it's, fully amortized instead of, you only paying a certain amount and then having a balloon payment in the end, there's not a whole lot of reason to sell that deal. Right. But for somebody who's, doing a construction loan and then they got to refi out, get into a permanent debt situation, there's opportunity for people to make a really high return in a short amount of time, relatively speaking. And so just being really clear about that business plan, I think, is step one. Step two is being able to explain that to the audience that you've aggregated that's interested in that type of thing. Right. And so what we've heard for people who syndicate is probably that, 10 to 20% of the people that are in your investor database will invest with you on your first couple of deals. That number is probably going to drop down to something less than 10% when you're doing a development deal, just because so many things can go wrong. And then depending on what phase of the development that you're in, it could get even a little more hairy, right? If you're raising money and everything's not drawn and entitled and financing's completely lined up, if all that stuff's not done, most people are going to run away because they want to come in at the last minute and it just plop in. So that's the piece that you have to really overcome, is getting a list big enough that you can present this opportunity to, in order to have that, funnel or that throughput be a meaningful number. Now with your partner, the experienced partner, they probably have a specific amount that they're looking for you to help bring to the table. It's probably not open-ended. And for that, there's a certain amount of compensation that goes with that. And it's probably be my expectation that you would stay in the deal just to make sure you guys are in compliance with all the securities laws and so on, right? So, that is something that a lot of people just sign up for in the beginning, thinking, oh yeah, I can raise money. And then they find out kind of the hard way that getting somebody to give you 25, 50 or 100K is harder than getting them to leave their kids with you. And so,
well, I think it's all fun until the wiring
right,
instructions come in.
Yeah. It really is. It's all, oh, I didn't. And people are nice, right? They're like, yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm totally interested. And then it's like, oh, send the money. You're like, wait, like,
I think
I
I
gotta
left
take
my
it out of my
oven on.
account and give it to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, going through, and that's why I'm saying like the success rate on that. And I don't even know if success rate is the right way to describe it, but that number gets condensed pretty quickly. And so for you as the raiser, you don't want to get discouraged by the people who say no. Right?
Oh yeah, no, it's just like it's a number.
Going
It's
through
a
the
numbers.
numbers.
It's like anything. It's a numbers game. So,
But so the know, like, and trust funnel, and I'm probably the only person who actually calls it the funnel. In order to get to, let's call it 100 people who would actually think about investing with you, there's probably 1,000 people who need to know who you are. And then there's probably 10,000 people, 10,000 who know who you are, 1,000 who like you, and then maybe there's 100 who trust you. And then there's some subset of that 100 who's ready, willing, and able to put money with you. Right.
Yeah.
And so how do you set up the marketing machine to get the most amount of people in the place where they know who you are and what you do and the capacity of your team? Like that's the problem you're solving for. And then everything else really takes care of itself because you've got an experienced operator on the back end, and hopefully the marketing material that goes with somebody with that level of experience will bubble up so that you present things in a credible way. And so you're a marketing company, right? And most people won't say this who are money raisers. The marketing company needs to get the attention. You need to get the traffic. And I think social media is the best way to get access to that. And then it's getting people on calls. Now, with that said, you're already in the race. A lot of those relationships take
Time. Yeah.
6,
Yeah.
12, 24 months. I know of people who've had folks who said, I've been watching you for 3 years and now I'm ready to invest with you. They've never liked a post. They've never had a phone call. They've never done anything. They've just been lurking. Right. And now it's time that now they've been satisfied, or now they're in a financial position where it makes sense for them to make that investment. So, you know, there isn't a 1, 2, 3 step approach to get it done, other than you've got to have 10 times as many people know who you are than like you, and 10 times as many people who like you than trust you, in order to actually get to a number where somebody's going to actually place money with you.
Yeah, no, I like what you said there as far as being a marketing company. Because just like you say, everything is a funnel and everything is in numbers. Or I don't want to make it seem like that, but at the end of the day, like getting investors in, it's you're going to have some who something comes up, or maybe they're not interested in this particular deal. Kind of how you were going over the numbers before, but I really like what you said as far as it. You're a marketing company and building that relationship. So I think that's one of my big takeaways getting into commercial is that you know it's more business focused. It's more um, marketing, sales are more important than like on the
Mhm.
residential side of the house. It's just like, oh yeah, like let's buy this house and flip it. And it's as easy as that. It's that simple. But I think once you start going bigger, you realize this is extremely business focused.
A lot of people want to be profitable multifamily operators but lack the knowledge, deal flow experience, and capital to be successful. They often try to overcome these challenges out of order, slowing or eliminating their ability to get their next deal done. We've developed a framework that allows them to gain the knowledge they need to find profitable deals. When they do, they create the time and location freedom, as well as the generational wealth they desire for their family. The Myers methods of multifamily investing have proved to be the fastest way to establish credibility and profitably grow an apartment portfolio. If you want to know more about our 4-step process, jump over to myersmethods.com to get our free 4-step guide to getting into multifamily investing. Let's get back to that.
To that point, right?
Yeah.
So a house is more of a widget, right? We're going to buy this thing for this price. We're going to do something to it and we're going to sell it for more. Or in some cases, we're not going to do anything to it. We're going to sell it for more. For the apartment or the development, there's a business plan that has to be implemented in order for this thing to be worth more money than when you bought it. And so that experience is the thing that gets people going. They're not going to invest if they don't see somebody who's done it before. And that is includes your biggest financial partner, which is going to be the bank, right? If somebody hasn't done it before on the team, then they're not usually going to put their capital in the deal unless somebody just has a big enough balance sheet where if everything goes wrong, they can write the check to fix it.
Yeah.
And, investors are going to go the same way. I think the market conditions are right for you to be in development space. Is part of the reason why we started going down the path. And, it's for stuff that's already cash flowing, already in place businesses, it's the most expensive that it's ever been, right? There's scarcity of deals. So there's capital that are looking for places to go that they don't have a place to go. Hopefully your project's in opportunity zone, just because development works really well in opportunity zones and not much else does. And so if you can go down the list of all the reasons why this deal makes sense, right? There's not enough supply. There's not whatever. And I guess the other thing that I learned in going through the process that we're on is like, get your third party reports, right? Get your market
Yeah.
study, get
Yeah.
your appraisal, And now this is not you saying, "Hey, this is a great deal." This is somebody who's third party who created a report based on everything that's happening in the environment and said, "No, this makes a ton of sense." And being able to share that with people who are considering it gives them data points that you as a, operator or capital raiser or however you want to phrase it wouldn't actually have.
No, I love
These
that.
folks are actually experts in understanding these conditions. And I
Yeah, and
think
that's
that will go a long way.
yeah, no, 100%. I think that's one of the questions that, we've been answering with investors is just say, and we share that market study with them. Here's where our rents are at, here's what we think the market can bear. And that's been very helpful data for us in the race, answering some of those questions. Yeah.
So what objections have you been running into so far? Maybe we can talk about those a little bit.
Yeah. So I think part of it is kind of what you were saying before, as far as me coming in. I don't want to say, like I was saying before, is coming from the residential space. I didn't necessarily promote what I was doing and my experience in that. The other thing is no. Now I have an experienced operator, or we have an experienced operator on the team, but raising funds and not having that experience, that's one of the things. Is it's always the experience question comes up a lot, and we answer that by um, providing them with Alvin's experience. Um, some of the other objections are kind of what you're saying before, is from the ground up perspective, the risk involved. And that's something that we actually just bring to the front of the table. When we start the conversation, is like, hey, here's what we have going on. Here's what we are going to do. But here's the risk associated. So it's not necessarily like something that's lingering in the back of their head, with the construction costs, with timelines, with the risk involved with ground up construction. Um, yeah.
The only other thing that I think would come up or start coming up is just construction costs. How do you know what it's going to cost to build it?
Yeah.
Right? Because with the price of lumber and a bunch of other stuff, we've seen in some cases stuff jump 30 or 40% in cost per unit. And so that's again the construction's part of the risk, right? Making sure you stay on budget and on schedule. So, if people all have the same questions, there may be a real opportunity for you guys to do a webinar, record it, and answer all those FAQs, right? And then have that as part of your follow up material that you send to people after you talk to them about the actual opportunity. And then that just gives you another level of, it's another touch point, but another level of, I call it professionalism. I don't know what this actually is, but just that extra boost on, hey, these folks already anticipated. They're prepared, and they've actually got something that's polished and already done for us.
I love that. Yeah.
Most people are not going to make a 25 to $150,000 decision in a conversation or three. It's probably 7 to 10, right? And so, what do you have to follow up with them? What email sequences are you doing? How are you telling them about the progression of the project? Like, what are you actually doing? That's where the follow up happens. And is there a real process to, either get them in the boat or out the boat so you can move on to the next person versus just kind of being sporadic and um, not knowing where a person is, or just kind of hoping that if you wait long enough that something good will happen?
Yeah. No, I love that point. That's something that the team is, working. Uh, that's one of our big touch points, is in the follow up, and then filtering out, like, are you, like you said, are you in the boat or out the boat? Can you, or do you have the funds available at this time? Are you interested, or can we keep you in mind down the road, and just like you were saying, continue to build that relationship?
Yeah. And unfortunately, I've seen some investors take the approach that, no, I'm never going to invest with somebody on their first deal that they pitch to me, right? It doesn't matter what it is, it doesn't matter how good it is. I'm not going to invest, and I'll wait so until I can see the financial performance of that deal that they pitched to me and see if they were on target. And So if you encounter that situation, then you know you can move pretty expeditiously to the next person. But just know that some people just take that approach because they want more of a proof or track record once the person enters their orbit.
No, that makes sense.
What else? Anything else we can talk about today?
No, I actually, the way that you caught my eye is that your background, PMP. I'm finishing up my P journey right now with the serving exam. For some god awful reason, I took it in the state of California, so an additional requirement. Um, has your engineering background helped you at all with development?
Um, I think there's probably a air of credibility when you stand in front of zoning boards and go in and talk to people about the drawings that's being placed in front of them. But um, I am civil, not so much from me actually stamping drawings, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I can't design a transportation plan. We were talking about the parking lot. I had ideas on how to use space, but I don't think that had anything to do with my engineering degree, right?
yeah, yeah,
I don't know turning radiuses for fire trucks or any of the other stuff. I just know that you have to deal with it, right? And so I guess the one thing that is valuable is that I've been exposed to all the things that we have to encounter. And I think it probably makes me a little more cautious than just really starry eyed and seeing only the positive pieces of it. Like, for instance, we're dealing with a site that potentially has rock on it, right? And we haven't paid to get borings for all the different pads and all the road locations or the pipe locations. But, I do know that there's potential for that to have a significant impact on our budget if it's really hard and really deep. And so I think I just become more and more cautious because I have done big projects and I know what it's like to not make budget.
yeah,
And, in the single family space and you spend some time there, if you don't make your budget in single family and you've got hard money, well, that comes out your pocket because they're not going to give you more because you didn't plan your project well or you didn't see whatever popped up when you opened the wall. So, I took my PE in construction, and so maybe there's some value there just because we spend so much time adding value through construction. But
yeah.
when I think about what I did on my fundamentals of engineering exam, I can
Nah, yeah, yeah.
say very clearly that I don't use that at all. But yeah, I do think people do see you as more credible when
Yeah,
you've went through those professional requirements. But I still smile a lot because I've got some stamp stuff from when I was in corporate America out in the field. None of it's fallen down. At least they haven't called me about it, so I feel pretty good about that. But when I went to talk to the banks to get $1 million loan, they all told me I wasn't qualified to do what I wanted to do. So
yeah,
um, you every time you think you might have the box checked, there's always there is no substitute. That's probably a better way of saying it. There is no substitute for actually having experience as an operator of a development company. And there's so few resident or real estate development programs in the country that the only way that you really learn how to do it is by time in the seat.
yeah, and yeah, you got to pay your dues. You got to pay your
Gotta
dues,
pay your
which
dues.
yeah, completely understand, especially when you're working with other people and you got investment dollars on the line.
Sure. Well, Marcus, any other questions? Because if not, we'll wrap it up, man.
No, thank you so much for your time, Jerome. I appreciate it.
For sure, man. So, guys, you heard it here. Marcus is getting in development. You want to put some money in a deal, new construction, 200 units, Texas.
Texas, yep, Princeton, Texas.
Texas. Hopefully, he's doing a 506C so we
It
didn't blow
is.
this thing out the
No,
water.
yeah, no,
He
it
could
is.
go
An
talk
accredited
about it
investor.
everywhere with the accredited investors, baby. So, get in touch with Marcus. So, all this stuff will be linked up. It's New York Capital, right?
Noir Capital. That's correct.
Yeah.
And we're dealing with Hope Housing Foundation.
Nice, nice, nice. So Guys, get in contact with him. Hopefully we can push some traffic his way. And until the next time, the Pack's with you. We'll talk soon.
A favor, give us a 5-star rating, give us a review, and share this with somebody who's interested in multifamily investing. Until the next time, the Pack is with you.